everything. But when I finally got down to Florida, we pulled our bus up under this pretty oak tree. And there was a little gentleman standing there holding court, talking to people. People were all gathered around him. He was so cool. He was magical. He was mystical. I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I was in the bus looking down at him. And he had silver hair. And he had on flip-flops and socks and Bermuda shorts and a polo shirt and a country music bolo tie and a Seminole Indian jacket, and he was smoking a cigarette and carried a briefcase in a pasture where the show was. But there was something about him. He was just so cool. Lester Flatt finally spoke up and said, "Well, look at there. There stands Mr. Irvin T. Rouse." I said, "Who is Irvin T. Rouse?" He said, "Well, he is the gentleman who composed the world-famous fiddle song about the train called the Orange Blossom Special." So, I'm a photographer, so I had to meet him. I got my camera, I jumped out of the bus, I took Mr. Irvin Rouse's picture, and I shook his hand and tried to talk to him. But I found out pretty quick that he wasn't at home in his mind anymore. He had Alzheimer's or dementia or something. But when he shook my hand, I felt the royalty in his handshake. You could tell greatness had once been in his heart and in his bones. And that handshake has lasted me a lifetime. In his good days, Mr. Irvin Rouse was a great fiddle player. And he had a brother named Gordon that played the guitar. And they used to travel all up and down the eastern seaboard of the United States in a Ford motor car with their hats on the street corners playing for nickels and dimes and quarters, fiddle and guitar songs. And so not long before he passed away, at the end of his life, a journalist went from Miami up into the Everglades of Florida, out into the backwaters where Mr. Irvin Rouse lived, to do the final interview of his life. And the last question of the day was, "Mr. Irvin, you've written a lot of great songs. Which one do you want to be best remembered for?" And Irvin says, "Well, how about that piece I made about that train that time called The Special?" He just called it The Special. So this song has been played 10 million times. But here comes 10 million and one. All right. It's imported all the way from Florida to the surf music capital of the world, Amsterdam. It's a song called The Special. Look yonder coming down that railroad track. Look yonder coming down that railroad track. It's that orange blossom special bringing my baby back. Talk about you traveling. She's the fastest train on the rails. Talk about your traveling. Fastest train on the rails. Ride that orange blossom special going down that seaboard trail. Love. Irvin Rouse singing on his record. It went like this. When I'm going down the floor, get some sand in my shoes. Maybe California, get some sand in my shoes. Write that Orange Blossom special, Lucy's New York blues.